Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you access knowledge about the latest policy trends, discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe, find solutions in our peer review, get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar on the role of local authorities in enabling energy communities. This webinar is brought to you by the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform, and my name is Katharina Krell. I'm here with my colleagues, Simon Hunkin and Lotte van Meel, and together we are going to carry you through this webinar this afternoon. As always, our webinars are recorded. You will get automatically the link to the recordings in your email, along with all the presentations. So all the material will be shared. You can interact with us and with the speakers through the chat. My colleague Simon is going to monitor the chat, and whatever you type there, he will bring it to the attention of the speakers. And my colleague Lotte is going to entertain you with plenty of polls, because we have designed a very interactive webinar for you this afternoon. So next, our topic today is energy communities and what the local authorities can do to support these. Next week, at the same time, we're going to speak about internal governance of energy communities. So make sure that you are signed up for that episode as well. Now, why do we want to speak about energy communities? Well, because they have so many benefits. Let's take a look at those. Next slide. So energy communities, that is groups of citizens, business, local authorities that cooperate to generate energy, renewable energy, to consume it and to manage it. And of course, this supports the clean energy transition, and it helps to decentralize our energy system. And I think this slide shows very nicely the different angles and aspects of energy communities. Of course, there is the environmental aspect with the clean energy, but there's an economic aspect. It's a local capital. The renewables are built locally, so it's local tax returns. It strengthens the local development. The value stays in the region. It has a strong social component as well, because, well, energy communities can help fight energy poverty. Owning the assets together helps for, acceptance, like from not in my backyard to yes, please in my backyard. If it's your renewable energy asset, it strengthens social cohesion and it reinforces really democracy. So there's plenty of arguments why it is beneficial to have energy communities. And actually there is also a target. The Repower Europe plan has put forward the political objective to have one energy community per municipality with a population of more than 10,000 people by the end of 25. So this is this year, actually. So are we all set? Maybe not. So let's see. What can local authorities actually do to support the emergence of energy communities on their territories? We look here together at the regional and the local level, subnational level. Well, it's very important that the regulatory and the legal frameworks are well made. So there should be easy permitting and legal clarity. Now, this is mostly something of the national level, but I mean, permitting, some regions do have the power to do that. Financial incentives, it must be worth to be part of an energy community, meaning it should not be more expensive than to just buy electricity from the grid. which we have seen is a challenge when you promote energy communities in areas where, for instance, the cost of electricity is still heavily subsidized. Now, clearly, in the realm of the local and the regional level, it's to make strategies that recognize energy communities, target setting, integration of energy communities in local planning documents in alignment with the climate, the mobility, the housing, and any resilience plans. It's possible for local and regional authorities to offer financial incentives to reduce the upfront investment risks, for instance, for the formation of an energy community or to support a feasibility study. Access to spaces where to build the first PV or a wind turbine. So public land, public buildings, rooftops, parkings, access to those. Then facilitate technical assistance to help the communities get started, structure their legal structure, develop their business and their project. And local authorities can also join or even create an energy community that creates trust and shows the feasibility, especially when it's the first one in the region. Building citizen acceptance and engagement. We talked a lot about this. And very practically share resources, for instance, offering office space, a legal address, or access to the municipal communication channels. All these are things that public bodies can do to help their local energy communities get started. Next one. And we're going to hear from our three speakers from their respective cases, what of these methods has been employed and how. But first of all, my colleague Simon is going to explain a little bit what the policy learning platform has already been doing on the topic, and we've done quite a few things. And so then, as said, 3 presentations. We'll hear from Sara Picone from the Ferrara Development Agency, and you can turn on your camera and wave to the audience. So Sara is from CIPRO project, from CIPRO, that's the Ferrara Development Agency, from the LEEWAY project in Italy. And then we're going to hear from Pierre Ståhl, who's from the Energy Agency of Southern Sweden, from the Sear Energy project. Hi, Pierre. And then we're moving to Bostjan Remic. He's coming from the NGO Focus, and he's going to present a good practice that has been identified in our project ShareRes, which has been developed in the Live Comet project. So we'll see from these 3 cases how public support has actually helped take off and help succeed in the energy communities. All right, and then we'll have a little panel discussion on the link of energy poverty and energy communities. And then we're going to do a quiz, so pay attention to all that we are presenting to you today. All right, over to you, Simon.
Okay, thank you, Katharina, and good afternoon, everyone, also from my side. So yeah, you'll see in front of you here on this slide the Interreg projects that we have, which are working on energy community related issues or have worked on them in the past. On the left-hand side are the current ongoing projects, and on the right are the old projects. We, as the policy learning platform, draw all of our resources from our projects. So you'll find through these websites a lot more information. I don't want to spend too much time on the ones on the left because you'll hear quite a bit from these projects. In fact, you'll hear from all of them, apart from BioWind, either today or next week, so join us for part 2. But you'll see that they are tackling different issues such as how to tackle energy poverty, how to enable energy sharing, or indeed how to build social acceptance, in particular for BioWind. So lots of different angles that they are exploring. As I said, we as the policy learning platform, we take these projects and their results to build our activities, to bring their achievements to a wider audience. We do this through 3 main activities, so access to knowledge, through a knowledge hub, access to people through events such as this, and access to expertise through bespoke policy advice. The core of our knowledge hub is the good practice database. And here you'll find from the ongoing projects and from the past projects, a lot of good practices that can help to guide you in your own regions. They tackle a lot of different issues from legislative frameworks through to project development assistance, awareness raising, project finance, so how to get projects off the ground, and then really also how to attract citizen investors. You'll find a lot of our resources available on our collection page. We have this page, you can find it through the QR code, but also through the link. Here you'll find past recordings from webinars, reports from peer reviews that have been implemented, but also policy briefs and event reports. One of our core activities under the people, access to people strand, was the workshop that we held last year on energy communities. Here we brought together all of the current projects and several of the past projects in Budapest to discuss how to facilitate the emergence of energy communities. You'll find all of the presentations and also the report from this event on the Policy Learning Platform website. But from this workshop, the topics that we're discussing today and next week really emerged as areas where we felt we could go more in depth. So that was really the emergence of this webinar series. And with that, I'll pass back to Katharina actually to present a couple of past peer reviews.
Yes, in terms of expert service, I would like to highlight our peer review service. This is reserved to public bodies. They can request a peer review. That is a 2-day knowledge exchange, very intense, on a topic that, well, the applicant finds challenging. It has to fall within our scope, but our scope is very wide. And then we organize 4 to 6 peers from other European regions to come over and tackle these challenges. And we already had 123 peer reviews, so the service is very popular. And I would just like to highlight that we had 3 peer reviews already on the topic of energy communities, one for the very small municipality of Asko, just 2,000 people, one for the Cyprus Energy Agency, covering the entire island. That was about 800,000 people. And the most recent one for the Western Herzegovina canton in Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's the case where I said it's difficult to make energy communities work if the energy price is heavily subsidized. And we also had one matchmaking on energy communities for the Marche region in Italy. So yeah, you can check how to request a peer review. And if that is something for you, I invite you to do that. All right. So, but now we would like to hear and activate a little bit our audience. So scan the QR code. We're going to be a lot on Slido the entire afternoon. So do it now, not just for this poll, but also for the other ones. And we would like to hear from you first. Have you participated in our workshop on energy communities last December at Budapest? Have you been with us? Just, I think I've seen a lot of familiar names in the registration list. So who's been there? I mean, we have a lot of participants. So of course, many people haven't been at Budapest because we were only 70. And here you are already over 130 joining. Great. So 10%. Nice. Then let's see. Are you directly or indirectly supporting energy communities in your territory? I want to see a little bit. Are you already providing support? Yes, no, not yet, but in the near future. So let's wait a little bit. 50 people have voted. That's great. So we see quite a strong trend. Over 50% are already providing support to energy communities in their territory. A quarter not, and 20% not yet, but planning to do so in the near future. Okay, great. So I think something useful should come out of this webinar for you. And then on a personal level, are you a member in an active energy community? So you can say yes, already for more than 5 years. Yes, very recently. Not yet, but I would like to join soon. Or no, this is not really for me. Okay, so I would tick yes since less than 5 years because I've joined an energy community 4 years ago. Simon, how about you? Are you part of an energy community yet?
Not yet, but actively exploring. I'll take the plunge pretty soon, I think.
Good, good. How about you, Sara?
Also not yet, but we are balancing with the support that we give as us.
So, well, you already have to be in a territory where you have an energy community to be able to join. So I had that advantage. All right. Well, thank you for this warm-up poll. And then, Sara, I would say over to you. Present yourself and explain us the classification that you've done for the energy communities in your area.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you, first of all, for inviting us to share LEEWAY experience in this webinar. I'm Sara Picone. I work for AES, which is an energy agency based in Italy, and we are supporting CIPRO, lead partner of LEEWAY, in carrying out the technical activities of the project. LEEWAY sees 7 partners cooperating across 5 regions in Europe with 2 discovery partners that are trying to learn with us how we can boost energy communities. The main objective of LEEWAY is to look at how energy communities can actually tackle energy poverty, and then how the policy instruments can, in turn, support the establishment of energy communities. So what I'm going to share with you are some examples of how practically local authorities that are involved in the project have shared with us examples of ways by which local authorities can support energy communities. As you probably all know, there's a number of challenges in establishing renewable energy communities, and these are just some of these, but probably the ones that are often a major limitation towards actually being able to establish energy communities. So first of all, there needs to be an engagement of the communities. So members do need to have the initial interest for the buying in the community, but also they need to be engaged in the long term. Then there's the big issue of the legal aspects. So what is the legal form that this community can take, and this entails a number of consequences for the activities that then the energy community can perform. Related to that are also the setup costs that this type of legal establishment carries with it. Also, there needs to be a governance mechanism for the energy community to work, and this is not an easy topic to address in order to root the activity of the energy community in the territory. Then there's the topic of the financial aspect, at the beginning for the establishment, but also for the long-term stability of the energy community. And in countries where there is an incentive, such as Italy, here we have an incentive system on the shared energy. It's a virtually shared energy, so it's not a directly shared energy. And even though it sounds very nice, there's a lot of practical limitation that still don't make it super easy to go along this path. And finally, there's indeed there are all the issues related to the plans. So how to collect the necessary capital to invest in plants, and how to actually proceed with this installation of the plants and the authorization of the plants in the necessary timings for the energy communities. The initial steps to these pathways are always starting with a master plan to identify what are the potential renewable energy plants that can be at the disposal of the community, or what is the roof surface that, for instance, can be exploited, let's say. And this needs to go along with a business plan, and then it necessarily needs to be grounded in the community. So it needs to reach out to citizens, to the business sector, and hopefully this all comes up with the establishment of a legal entity. So there are several dimensions in which a local authority can support this process, and Katharina mentioned a whole list. I will just go through a few examples from the, let's say, lowest, maybe a little bit lowest effort to the education and awareness, towards the indirect support or the direct financial support, to really leading by example. So what do I mean with this? So first of all, to establish a favorable condition for energy community to happen, there needs to be also knowledge about, first of all, energy, which is not such an easy handleable topic for the common citizen. So this requires a lot of work on the ground, and even at schools, to start educating future citizens on this topic. And then to the next level, have some points on the territory that can answer to questions that citizens may have on this aspect. This can be help desk, this can be one-stop shops to a larger degree of support, because the latter, it's a word that is it's almost a buzzword right now. So they can provide a full range of support, from information to full technical support to energy communities. Going to the more indirect support, there are examples of promoting indeed installation of plants, by trying to facilitate the building regulations so that these installations can be actually realized. Also, the local administration can lend public space to community energy initiatives. We've seen examples where even the local authority would pay the membership fee of the energy community for vulnerable citizens as a means to allow them to be part of the mechanism, or up to the level where the local energy community exists and is in a setting where it can sell energy. Then the local administration can even purchase energy from the local energy community. What we see a lot, especially in Italy, is that local authorities are trying to lead by example, so they become founding member of renewable energy communities. And finally, the direct financial support is mostly through the ERDF funding, and so far it has been directed to the preliminary steps of creating an energy community, so supporting those feasibility studies and preliminary analysis. In the next slides, I'm going to show you some examples of the activities I mentioned before. They are all good practices that we collected with the LEEWAY project, so you can find more information on the Interreg platform. The first one is from the Emilia-Romagna region, which provided a help desk service. It's active by phone and by email, and provides information to citizens or companies that are interested in renewable energy communities. Companies also play a big role, because we also have in Italy a scheme that is financing PV installations by companies connected to renewable energy communities. So this is very relevant. And in combination with this help desk, the region also realized some publications that were aimed to explain some of the technicalities and practical implications of setting up renewable energy communities, giving advice on the legal forms, so really helping those that wanted to establish renewable energy communities. On the same ground, so on activating the territory, also thanks to an ERDF funding, we developed as energy agency a process for engaging citizens in the territory that was consisting of a series of workshops where they would be activated on energy, and first of all informed on what they could do about energy, and then where the energy sharing concept was explained by means of a game that was simulating the functioning of an energy community. And so by this, it was a bit like planting seeds for future energy communities. It was a process that engaged over 700 people across 27 municipalities in a quite short time, and in parallel with the funding scheme that was funding the establishment of energy communities. So this was a very good, reinforcing of these measures. Another example comes from our Croatian partners in LEEWAY. A local energy cooperative had a crowdfunding campaign to involve the cooperative members in investing in a collective plant that was actually installed on a public roof of the municipality. And here it was a little bit the other way around. So the energy cooperative was actually investing in the plant that would then become a property of the municipality. So here there's also a clear win-win situation for both parties, because after the 10 years period after which the investment is paid back to the ones who have invested, the plant becomes the municipality property and they can keep on getting the benefits of it. And as a final example, I'm going to zoom in a bit on the financial measure that the Emilia-Romagna region put in place at the end of 2022 to establish renewable energy communities in Emilia-Romagna. As a result of this measure, but also with a bit of spontaneous processes, because the legal framework in Italy was actually only finalized at the beginning of 2024, about 90 renewable energy communities were present in the region as of June this year. And almost the 84% of these were funded as a result of this financial instrument that was issued by the region that was covering the cost for the feasibility studies and for the establishment of the legal entity. Zooming in on these RECs that were financed by the regional instrument, we can see that there's a model emerging. Yeah. There's a model emerging here that is a public-driven REC, so a model where the municipality is really a promoter or a funding member. And this model is mostly associated with a medium-sized municipality, which for our context means municipalities between 5,000 and 50,000 inhabitants. These RECs have, in most of the cases, social objectives. So they aim to facilitate social interaction, social inclusion, so tackling vulnerable communities, and they want to contribute to the municipality's goals on mitigation and adaptation. So they either have a very social objective or more, let's say, environmental one, but some of them cover all of these aspects. And with this, I come to my last slide. That's a short summary of our experience in LEEWAY. So first of all, local authorities have a big role in enhancing trust in these new organizations that are renewable energy communities, and by that they can create favorable conditions, but they can play even a leading role, by example, in taking an active role in renewable energy communities. The initial steps for the establishment need support because they are cost intensive in terms of resources. But what is crucial to really lay the ground for the establishment of RECs is to communicate their potential and benefits among citizens and the business sector so that they become aware of the role they can play in the energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sara, for this quite interesting overview from Emilia-Romagna. I mean, you have very good framework conditions already. I think, well, if other regions could copy-paste the support scheme that you have put in place, but I think it's quite recent, but you can already see the reactions on the ground. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned the difficulties in Italy that are still persisting despite of a very attractive support system. Could you name some of these?
Well, I think they're more related to the actual operational activity of the renewable energy community. So once the renewable energy community is established, It needs to be registered by a national authority. This takes time, and it needs to get approval for a series of, for the configuration that it wants to activate. So for the plans that the renewable energy community aims to use. And this can mean that, for instance, a renewable energy community, which was established end 2024, can start seeing some money, allow me this very simple wording, mid 2027.
Right. So. Okay. So the time, yeah. All right. Yes. Oh, I see that there are some questions in the chat for you. Simon will present these to you.
Yep, well, only one question that I see, and then a comment, which I'll invite Sara to follow up in the chat. The question is coming from Sarah, and she's wondering if the methodology that you use for the participatory planning process is available. Is this something that can be shared with other regions to replicate themselves?
Yeah, the methodology itself is a good practice. So it's on the Interreg platform and it is described there. And you can always address us. So if you want more details, we're totally available to provide them.
Perfect. Perhaps we can provide a link in the follow-up report for everybody to see.
Yeah, there's a link in the slides already. So
okay, we'll share that in the chat. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing is not a question, but a comment I see. Just a quick final question, Sara. You mentioned that the help desk is there for the citizens and the companies. And do you have cases where the companies are providing, for instance, their roof space for a community energy system?
So companies, if they are not in the energy field, they are allowed to become a company, the energy community members. So there are cases where a company is a member of an energy community. So I don't have one case, but I think there are cases. I'm quite sure about this.
I think that is a good synergy because they also have spaces that could be valorized. All right. Good. So thank you very much for this kickoff from Ferrara. And let's turn to our next speaker. Thank you, Sara. Pierre. So Pierre is joining us from southern Sweden, and he's going to present us the municipally initiated solar cooperative in Karlskrona. You are muted still. You can unmute and put your slides.
Greetings. Yeah, now I think you hear me, right?
Yes, now I can hear you. That's good.
And you see my pictures.
Yeah, but you still need to go on full screen mode. Well, I can see probably your other screen.
So it's not full screen?
No, I can just see your lake and...
Strange. I see if I can re-share this in any way then. Did work before, right?
Yes, we've practiced. Don't... Okay, try again.
It's not working?
No. Can we jump in? You started screen sharing. No, it's perfect.
Super. Okay. So let's move to Sweden, and I will talk about an example, like Karlskrona Community Solar Park. I'm working in an Interreg project called Serenity. We mentioned it before. And the thematic here is to increase renewable energy, especially in rural areas. And energy communities is one thematic in this project. And you can see the partner areas here on the map, and Sweden in the north, of course, is the one I will focus on. So this is South Sweden, The colored area, that's the area where my company, Energy Agency Southern Sweden, is active within. We are a non-profit company. We're owned by those 4 regions you can see in the map and the municipalities in the area. So it's 55 municipalities here. It's 2 million citizens, and it's roughly 9% of Sweden's total area that is covered here. So compared to most of Europe, this is a rural area. And this is then Blekinge, the region we will look into today, dive into that area. And region Blekinge, it has 5 municipalities. The easternmost is Karlskrona. So that's roughly 66,000 inhabitants. And the main city is then Karlskrona, the same name as the municipality. They market themselves as the sunniest city in Sweden, which of course is favorable if you want to look into solar PVs. There's an energy company in the municipality 100% owned by the municipality. And this company is then a district heat provider, power production also. It's 100% fossil free. They own the local grid. They are an electrical supplier, so they sell and supply electricity to many people in the municipality. And they also are internet provider, public boat transportation, waste management. So this is a very well-known company in the municipality, working very close with the municipality then, of course. So the process for this energy community is that it started with the municipality having an area, a former waste deposit that couldn't be used for buildings, roads. It was very restricted what you can do in this area. And I think those areas can be found everywhere. So what to do with this? There were a lot of discussions, and they also involved the energy company. And it's a bit unclear who came up with the final idea, but the energy company got very engaged in the idea to build a large solar farm on this area. And quite soon they looked into the possibilities to have this as a co-owned citizen, company-owned solar park where everyone who wanted could take part and buy shares. So then the concept for this ownership was developed. And doing this, they also engaged experts in the field. After that, they had a concept and they marketed and sold the shares to the concept. And then when they had enough shares sold, they decided to start building. And the first stage of this solar farm was built by the energy company in 2019. So the energy company provided expertise and also funding, original funding for doing this. And there were a number of very engaged people, one of them in the picture here, that made this happen, I would say. Because as all projects, there are hurdles on the way that you need to overcome. And then when this solar farm was in place and fully operated, the first part of it, the ownership was transferred to the energy community, where everyone who had bought shares were members. So the energy community then took over the ownership. They had a special service agreement with the energy company. And it is an economic association that is run on the cooperative principles that is doing this. And the thing is, in Sweden, there is no really special definition of energy community. You cannot register as an energy community. But of course, you can register as an economic association or a cooperative and run it in the same principles. So this is how it looks from above. Today, the whole area is 7.5 hectares. And today there are a little bit more than 5 megawatts solar PVs. And the annual production is around 5 gigawatt hours, which is very good from Swedish perspective. I think it's in Southern Europe, this is not much then. There's about 450 members that together owns this site. And there's still room for expansions. So there are a couple of more areas here that can be built, and but it's not decided yet what to do, if that should happen now or later on. So this is how they market it. It's a co-owned solar park, and it's both companies and private persons that are welcome to buy the shares. And the setup is that the energy is sold at the spot market. And the owners then receive a deduction from their energy bill. And that makes a need that you need to be a customer of this energy company. And so you get a bill from them so that you can have a deduction from them. But this is the most practical way to do it, taking into account the legislation we have in Sweden on this. Challenges, some of them. Building on a former waste deposit is, of course, not easy. There were a lot of environmental and cost considerations here. On top of the waste, there's a cover, and you were not allowed to penetrate this cover in any way. So you need to find special technical solutions here. Administration of the energy community and the transfer from the energy company to the association was one issue. Technology development, it's been quite fast since the last 5-7 years. Also, the legal framework in Sweden has changed during the years, which has made it a little bit difficult in some aspects. And to be honest, the economy today, with the support system we have, it's not economy mainly that will be the driver for those who want to buy shares. You need to have other arguments or also to do this. Some details. One share costs €150, and by one share you get one corresponding 0.1 kilowatt of solar panel that you own them. So 5 shares is then 1 kilowatt solar panel. And the agreement runs for 30 years. And after 30 years, we'll see what happens. That's not decided yet. There's a special setup for larger companies if you want to buy a larger part of this site. And there are technical things. I think those who are interested can look into that later. So conclusions then. I think there's a success factor that the municipality owns this energy company that has the expertise and also committed personnel that wanted to work with this. I thought this was a great and fun thing to work with. Economy and ownership has changed over the years. It has created a lot of goodwill for the municipality and the energy company. And the concept has been spread. So there's at least 3 municipalities that's having the same concept in Sweden. I think there's more, but at least 3. And roughly 450 companies that co-owns this solar farm producing local renewable electricity. So some recommendations. Use the competence that exists in the local energy company. And also use experts when you define the rules and regulations for the community, because you will work with those for many years. And there's a need for more drivers than pure economy, at least with the subsidy and the economic as it looks in Sweden today. Yeah, that was my last slide.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Pierre. That's really a great example for the use of municipal land for a community energy project. Congrats. It also shows how the municipal-owned utility is acting as the project developer and carries the risk of the project development and also the pre-financing of the assets until the plant is up and running. And only then, when it's fully de-risked and actually can start, well, earning money, talking about money, and then the ownership is transferred. So it's a very good model. You're from the energy agency. Was there a role for the energy agency, or was this essentially something that the municipality decided to do?
No, we were not really involved in building this. We have been involved in marketing the concept and spreading the idea to other municipalities and so on, but not building the solar farm, no.
Yeah, but promoting it at least.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Okay, I see there are some questions in the chat for you, Simon.
Yep. Okay. So the first question is coming from Gerard. First of all, he said it's a very interesting presentation. He's asking, can shares freely change hands at any time, or are they brought for a minimum period of time?
There is a system for if you want to sell your shares. So they have a system for administrating that, and that's also a part of this administration of the energy community and the setup. So that's something you should consider from the start, because this will happen. People want to sell or buy more shares.
Perfect. And then we have a second question coming from Daniel. He's saying, could you please provide some details on the cash flow principles for this concept? Sun, energy, cell, and further. I'm not sure I understand the second sentence, but perhaps you could say that.
Well, if you when you're running, I'm not sure. I'm not that into all details, but in principle, the electricity it's supplied to the grid, and there is an agreement from the between the association and an energy dealer, which in this case is Affärsverken. So all electricity is sold to the grid, to the market price for that hour, for that moment, and to this company, and then those money is then administrated. The cash flow is I'm not sure I can explain this in a very short time. I think we will have to take that on the side, but
I mean, you could always take some time to think about it and give a bit of an answer in the chat, perhaps. But we could perhaps jump to the last question or hand back to Katharina. So this is coming from Alexandra, and she's asking if the Solpark was designed in a sustainable manner, thinking of sort of eco-design, so taking into account, for example, the use of renewable materials.
I think not really. I mean, the solar, I think when you bought the components, it was more about price efficiency from the solar panels, for example. Those buckets that the solar panels were attached to, they were mainly there they fulfilled the requirements for not penetrating, and there was not so much choice there from a technical perspective. So that mainly it is the technical requirement that made the design as it is.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot. That was it for the questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, then, congrats for the nice, good practice, Pierre, and thank you for answering the question. Maybe you can think about an answer for the cash flow question and tackle it in the chat, or we can tackle it in a follow-up. Why not? And that then brings us to our last speaker. It's Bostjan Remic, who's joining us from NGO Focus. So Bostjan, over to you. Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you. Okay, dobar dan. Hello to everyone. Yes, my name is Bostjan Remic, and besides working for Focus, I also sit on the governance body of the energy cooperative Zeleni Hrastnik, which I will be presenting in the next 10 or so minutes. So, where the story starts? In a mining region, in an ex-mining region in the center of Slovenia, and this region was, of course, had a similar fate than a lot of ex-mining regions, and when the mining stopped, so a lot of the population and social issues and so on. So. Here at Focus, via an European project called Care for Climate, we got an opportunity to set up a pilot project and issued a tender for municipalities. And this is how the story of the energy cooperative Zeleni Hrastnik started. And now this is probably one of the most well-known energy cooperative in Slovenia, and currently consists of 30 members. These are legal persons, the municipality, public institutions, small local businesses, and of course the majority of them are citizens. And this project has started in 2022, and it was, as I said, a trailblazing project, and it took us quite some years, let's say 2 years or so, or even more, to get connected, let's say, to the grid with the first project, to the solar school. And then the second one was a bit faster because, yes, the general conditions for setting up such power plants aren't the best here in Slovenia. And let's say the cooperative with 30 members now own 2 solar power plants on public rooftops. So one is on the primary school, a bit less than 300 kilowatts of power, and the second one is on the health center, and it has around exactly 100 kilowatts of power. So why is this a case that has to be examined a bit more? I'll talk about the 2 power plants and how were they set up in the next slides. What is important is that both of these power plants are based on self-consumption and on the net metering scheme. I'm sure that most of you are well familiar with it, and you know that it is not in practice anymore. It had, of course, some positive it gave positive framework for the owners of the solar power plants, but of course it lacked many. It had many disadvantages for the distribution and of course the question of fairness and so on. So this net metering scheme is not possible anymore in the context of EU member states. So this is an aerial photo of Hrastnik, and you can see that just near the stadium is the primary school, so Osnovna šola in Slovene, and this roof hosts a 300 kilowatt solar power plant, and this power plant then produces electricity for all of the buildings that you can see on the photograph. So the local pool, only a share of the energy needs are covered, of course, but because the pool has a lot of need for electrical energy, and then 16 households, and of course the municipality building, Općina in Slovenia, and Jagoda. This is a local food and grocery store. So all of this, all of buildings is being powered by the electricity produced by the solar power plant that is owned by the cooperative. And maybe to talk a bit about the business model, of course, the cooperative was the economic association that owns and that developed the project, and the solar power plant, the end price was around 208,000 euros, and it consists the whole price was covered on 20% by the members, by the, let's say, equity contributions, 100 euro per kilowatts of the power plant, of the allocation key, and 20% was a subsidy by the Ministry of Infrastructure, and 60% was a credit by EcoFund, so the Slovenian Development Eco Fund, which of course offered a credit that was a bit better than the ones that are offered by the private banks. And now, of course, these are the, let's say, so-called capex, and of course there are also other operational costs that are part of, owning solar power plants, such as insurance, maintenance, and the easement fee for the roofs that is being paid to the municipality. This is something mandatory by the law. Okay, and now this is serviced by the monthly installments paid by the members of the cooperative to the cooperative. Those who are part of this self-consumption energy community. And what does it mean? Of course, this is now the main motivation and the main, of course, the main motivation for the members to get involved. And this is the cost of the electricity. And here you can see this graph is a bit updated, but the green part, you can see their real costs in monthly installments, and the orange part would be, let's say, a simulation of the energy prices if they would buy them by market prices. But this is a bit outdated because currently, let's say, the market prices in Slovenia are closer to 200 euros per megawatt hour. And here you can see that at the point when we developed this calculation, it was closer to 140 or 150 euros. So there's a lot of, so there's a lot of money that is not being spent on electricity because of this cooperative-owned solar power plant. Of course, it is necessary to mention that the members of the cooperative have to pay levies and annual settlements, so levies to the state, let's say, and annual settlement, because, as I said, it works on the net metering scheme. So it's a calculation between what the solar power plant produces and what is the consumption of an individual member. But of course, we tended to be as close to zero as possible. So this is one of the important aspects of the model, of the cooperative model that was set up here. The process of building it was participatory in that sense that, it builds involvement and motivation, especially for the inhabitants, but also a process of, as I said before, planning the allocation key of the power plant and the needs, so the consumption. And we try to get as close to zero with these two parts of the equation. The important story is, of course, that this is a way how to combine ecological, social, and economical benefits that stay in the local community. So the value stays in the local community with the cooperative. And I've called this, let's say, a public commons partnership, because it is a partnership between, especially the municipality, the local authority, and the community. And it serves the needs of the local community, because the main goal of this cooperative is to produce electricity, decarbonized electricity at the lowest cost possible. And of course, this is the potential that was mentioned in the introduction to the seminar was addressing energy poverty. We had this in mind, and one of the members of the first energy community, or the first self-consumption community, the first solar power plant, was an elderly woman, and of course this is the part of demographics who are under most threat of energy poverty, and we paid her initial equity contribution with a solidarity fund that was gathered from all the members of the cooperative. So this is something that we have in mind also for future plans of the cooperative, especially designing a project that would include, let's say, underrepresented groups and energy poor groups in the solar self-consumption, because what the studies show is that energy cooperatives tend to involve people who are a bit better off in the sense of education and financial means and so on. So this is something that is also, let's say, the next trailblazing project that we want to tackle. And the second one is, this is an idea, let's say, also from the principle of the primary school, is to have some kind of a mobility e-bike sharing scheme, because you can see from the photo that this is a relatively hilly place, and e-bike is still something that is relatively expensive. So the idea is to cover in a very similar manner, not as we did for the energy, to also cover part of the mobility needs in the municipality of Hrastnik. Okay, and now some reflections, just my personal reflections on what was the role of the municipality and why it was so important to form this public commons partnership. I think the first thing is that we have to say that politics matter. The mayor of Hrastnik is a let's say progressive mayor and has had experience in the cooperative movement, and this was very important because we could push, you know, an environmental NGO and the mayor. We pushed in the same direction. There was this sincere cooperation that managed to get us through all the bureaucratic and other obstacles and in setting up the project. And we have to say, you know, that the mayor or the municipalities opened many doors, you know, in solving issues, let's say, with the distribution operators, with the public institution directors and so on. Because the mayor was on board, many doors were opened that would be probably much harder to open for us as an environmental NGO. And I think for the municipality, this brought, let's say, a much better public status and national standing by setting up a good practical example. So it is, let's say, the cooperative is now a local pride. Maybe what's a bit to add a bit on this is the legal framework. So this was one of the important issues to tackle from our side, because the interpretation from the public institutions was that the municipalities cannot really participate, you know, because cooperatives are economic actors and they participate in, you know, economic activities either for profit or not for profit. But the municipalities, by Slovenian legislation, you know, had to show that they can join a cooperative, and we managed to build a case and change this interpretation by showing that this cooperative will work for public good, you know, not for profit, but only expanding on what are the role of the municipalities in Slovenian legislation.
Please,
so this was the
elaborate a bit quicker. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. So, and this is my final slide, just to conclude. So, I think the role of municipality was also very important in building mutual trust, although this was like more of a feedback loop. Also, at the end, I think that there was this bigger trust built by between local participants and the local authorities. And I think this wouldn't be possible without the president of the cooperative being employed in the municipality, you know, because a lot of this time, it's a time-consuming exercise, and this was really important. And at the end, I think why is this important is that this was a concrete example of let's say, just green transition, that benefited the many, not the few. And this is something that is really important in a sense of social acceptance of renewables. So this is where the story ends, and I'm of course open for questions here or via email. Thank you.
Yes, and there are questions. Bostjan, thank you very much. A local pride. This is what the energy community has become. I mean, you can be very proud of it indeed. And your good practice and very lovely last slide really shows the difference that the municipality can make. So thanks for that. Immediately over to Simon for questions from the floor for you.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for your presentation. The first question has come in from Bridget. She is asking, what was the incentive for the school and the health centre to allow the community to install on their roofs? Why would they agree to this rather than just installing their own PV, for example? I mean, what was the benefit for them?
Mm-hmm. So the benefit for the primary school and the health center is lowering the cost of their electricity. And of course, especially for both roofs are, let's say, larger than the needs of the both institutions. So it was also, let's say, a rational way to do it. And both of the principal and the director, they were both, let's say, really on board for such a story that builds, let's say, on the case of public good and communal interest. So this is what brought them in. And of course, as I said, the support of the mayor from the beginning was really important because, still these people are, in a sense, employers of the municipality.
Great, thank you. The second question, the last one, was from Juliana, and she's asking, how do you balance the production and consumption within the community? Are there special rules for the cooperative members?
Well, as I explained at the beginning, both power plants still function in the framework of the yearly net metering scheme. So the production capacities of both solar power plants are distributed, allocated according to the yearly consumption of all the members. So then this the yearly production is then settled, let's say, by real yearly consumption, and then of course maybe some extra fees have to be paid by the members, but we try to get them on a level ground, so close to zero. So the problem, of course, is now that there's no more net metering scheme, and setting up such a power plant became a bit more difficult, but there are now examples, being developed also here in Slovenia and in different EU member states. And of course, battery storage is something that will have to be part of this next projects.
Great, thanks a lot. That was it from the audience.
Okay, very good questions as well. I mean, net metering is always nice for the presumers, but it's, terrible idea from the grid perspective. Good, thank you. Stay with us, and I invite the other two speakers to also turn on their camera. We're moving on to discuss a little bit further about the link between energy communities and the role to fight energy poverty. Bostjan, you have already mentioned several very concrete techniques how to include vulnerable groups. And I wanted to ask each of you to reflect a little bit on this link. First, I would like to hear if the energy communities that you know are helping to fight energy poverty. And you can answer in the same go. How has this been achieved? And what can the regional and the local authorities do to turn energy communities into a tool that really can address energy poverty? Because it's not automatic that the the price is cheaper than when you buy it from the grid. So what can be done to turn it into a tool that really addresses energy poverty? And who wants to go first? Not all at once.
No, I can start, and I can say in Sweden it's not so much talk about energy poverty in the same way that you talk about it in rest of Europe. When energy prices skyrocketed into 2022 and the following winter, it was mainly those who had big houses, high energy productions that was hit. So that was what you were talking about then, big consumers. So that is really not. We don't have the same discussion, I would say, in Sweden. So and then when it comes to energy communities, the few of those you've seen in Sweden is those has been organized, and the members are mainly those who are maybe well-educated people, not those groups that you think about when you talk about poverty and energy poverty. So today, I would say it's not. You don't see this energy community thing in terms of energy poverty. You don't connect them so much.
Yes, and you also said that there needs to be another incentive in Sweden to go for an energy community beyond the economic incentive.
Yeah. You need to be engaged in climate or want to know more your neighbors better, of all those type of things instead.
Okay, fair enough. So not a direct link made maybe yet, but at present. But let's hear Sara. I mean, LEEWAY clearly makes the link to energy poverty. So what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, the examples, for example, from the Emilia-Romagna region, in the regional funding scheme, which was set up to encourage the setting up of renewable energy community, addressing vulnerable communities and energy poverty was amongst the requirements. So that was a way to somehow include an attention to vulnerability and an impact towards energy poverty already from the beginning. But then I think an honest answer on whether energy communities are having an impact on energy poverty is not yet, because they are, they're not yet fully active. So in perspective, they can have an impact. We have seen examples where there is a clear impact on that, like the examples I mentioned that comes from Elko, that's a municipality in Belgium. They are paying for the membership fee of vulnerable citizens to become members of the energy community so they can get energy at a lower rate. But this mechanism cannot be applied to all countries, so there will need to be different ways. And apart from the more, of course, straight away logic of the economical incentive, which is also, I agree with Pierre, not such a great driver at the end. But for sure, there is an impact on creating awareness and on including these people in the community, which is not easy, not per se. So already the fact that there's maybe an action and an intention to try to reach out to these groups can have a positive impact on their situation. In the longer term, if energy communities do manage to have a long-term sustainability, they may be able to also link it to, for instance, renovation. So, and by that, contribute to reducing the energy consumption of especially the energy vulnerable, who are mostly those who are living in also poor housing condition and low comfort housing. That would be my take.
Right. So it's not a direct impact per se. It has to be constructed that way. And even though the attention to it has been built into the legal framework in Emilia-Romagna, or was it at the national level?
In this case, in the funding scheme of Emilia-Romagna. In the national framework, there is a reference to social and environmental benefits.
Okay.
So indirectly, there is.
Okay, so it is still an intention, but not yet a vehicle to make this impact actually happen. All right. Very interesting, and it's also reassuring. So I'm not thinking that I missed something because I don't see the direct link. But Bostjan, you have in your example some very concrete measures that have been built into your project. Maybe recap them again and say what else could be done.
Yeah, so I think that in theory there are two ways of tackling energy poverty, and in our example, yeah, we used, let's say, horizontal solidarity in that sense that members of the communities give part of their their income for those who cannot afford a membership, or etc. etc. There are many schemes like this in energy communities across Europe, I think, especially a lot of them in Spain and some in France, etc. And the second part, which is like really important, and there's quite a big of debate right now in Slovenia, and especially with the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Energy, is how to use state subsidies. There are state funds, and there will be the social climate fund is being set up, etc., etc., and how to transfer these funds through energy communities for them to tackle energy poverty. In a sense of renovation, but also in a sense of let's say self-consumption of electrical energy. And this is not that easy because if you're in a cooperative and you include a big share of energy poor people, that means that in a sense they're an economic liability, because by definition they cannot pay their costs for energy, let's say. So this is something that can be a big issue. And here, it's a big question, if energy communities can be some kind of a vehicle to target or to transfer the funds that are available from the state level to those who are affected, because usually energy poverty goes hand in hand with general poverty, and it's also a question of inclusion in other social practices, etc., etc. So this is something that we're building on also in a project called Gender for Power, thinking of how to include especially females in energy communities. Yeah, and here it's another big task on how to develop practical ideas that can give positive effects.
Well, thank you very much to the three of you for this quick reflection. I mean, it's a topic that, of course, we would need to be spending much more time to tackle it properly. But I wanted to scratch a little bit on the surface to see if there is anything glittering underneath. Still difficult. Okay, so thank you to our panel. Let's move to our audience, and we're going to launch a series of Slido questions. So take out your devices. You can again look at you can scan the QR code. Maybe you still have it. First of all, would you like to learn more about tools to fight energy poverty? If yes, next year the Policy Learning Platform will program some activities geared to that. So yes, no, I don't know yet. And I'd like to see at least 50 people voting on this so that we get a good representative overview. Because when we program our activities, we always check that there is demand from the community for them. Okay. All right. At least the overwhelming majority with 90% is saying yes, 7% not sure, and almost 50 people have voted. So let's see. It's a yes. Okay. Simon, we know what we have to do next year. Then, to test a little bit your knowledge after these presentations, have you listened? The Repower EU plan put forward the following shared political objective: one energy community per municipality of 10,000 people or 50,000 by when? 25, 2035? All right. What was the target? What do you think? One energy community per municipality of over 10,000 by 2035 or by end of this year? Or maybe 5 energy communities per municipality. That would be much better. Okay, well, the correct answer is 1 energy community per municipality of more than 10,000 people, and that already by the end of this year. So go home and make that target happen quickly. Okay, then what percentage of energy communities in Emilia-Romagna were supported by the ERDF call for proposals? Was it 44, 84, 27, or 99? Well, 99 cannot be. We see that clearly. Yeah, you seem to be hesitant between 44 and 84. Let's see the correct answer. 84. So the takeaway here is that renewable energy communities still need financial support for the planning and project development. So you see, this is a clear answer confirming this assumption. Okay. And what percentage were driven by public body? What percentage of energy communities in Emilia-Romagna? Almost all of them, 88, 74, 44, or 32%. Okay, let's see the answer. 44%. So, yeah, it shows the role of the public bodies, but not all of them need to be driven by municipalities. Then, about our Karlskrona community solar park, what initiated the creation? Was it a regulation from the Swedish national government? Was it citizens which petitioned the municipality? Or did the municipality ask its utility to investigate building a solar farm? Or did a private company initiate the project? Okay, well, you listened well. Let's see the answer. It's the municipality which asked its utility company. All right, let's skip this one. All right. A question that has nothing to do with the presentations today. There are many new EU funding and support structures for energy communities. Would you like to learn more about some or all of them? And you can click if you want to hear more about the new Citizen Energy Advisory Hub, which is launching next month, a support service for citizen-led energy renovation, the live clean energy transition, the new cross-border energy community initiative. So if you see that you would like to hear that, we will update our policy brief with a fresh section on new funding opportunities. Okay. Good. I think it's a yes, definitely, for an update on some of these instruments, if not all of them. Thank you. Then we come to our conclusions, and don't think that the conclusions is something that Simon and I will work on. You will work on the conclusions. So, what has been your main takeaway from today's session? Let's type away, and we gather collectively the takeaways that you are taking home from our presentation, from our panel discussion, from the questions in the room. And our speakers may type as well. So, the need for activist authorities. I like that. Good practices, good practices. So apparently you like them. That's nice. The power of regions, yes. The big potential, the cooperation between private and public. Yeah, which several people are saying also in different wording. Cooperation between citizen and local authority is key. A good management support. Or maybe you meant that we nicely managed this webinar. The cooperative model. Tackling of energy poverty needs innovations. Yes, it is also a takeaway from myself. We're far from the target. Indeed, we are. Power together, yes. Okay, I think the slide is not big enough to collect all the takeaways, but I think it's fair to conclude that the good practices that were presented were positively received and that everybody understood that the power that the public bodies at regional and local level are having can really make an energy community thriving, that it needs cooperation on all levels, which is a public-private cooperation, that it needs new cooperation models, that we need to speed up because we're far away from the target. The potential is there. Citizens can play a role. And yeah, so that's great. I think it's time to conclude here. We are we are at the end of our timing. I would like to thank all our speakers. A big applause for Sara, Pierre, and Bostjan and their examples. And thank you to my colleagues, Simon and Lotte. And to the audience who has been very active today and nicely participating in the polls. It's been rewarding for us to see what you are thinking. And we very much hope that you will be with us next week again at the same time. And if you want to send us a message, you have understood that we do our programming based on your needs, but we also reply to individual questions. So in the exit poll, you always got the chance to leave a message to us. We're always reading them and we're getting back to you. So good afternoon for today and goodbye.